Hey guys, this is just going to be a quick screencast to show you how to set up your Turnitin class if you haven't done it already. So the first thing you need to do is go to Turnitin.com and you're going to log in with your entire Blue Ridge email address and your password. This is not your Blue Ridge password. You would have set this up. If you can't remember it, just go to this reset password link and reset it, or you can contact me and I'll have the one that you might have sent me last year to be able to give to you. So once you're in here, the first screen will show you any classes that you've had that may be active or generally expired from previous years. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add a class. You guys are always just going to pick the standard class and you need to give it a name and an enrollment password. And this doesn't have to be anything tricky. This is just the password you're going to give to the students so they can enroll yourselves in their class. And then you want to pick a class end date. I generally pick something even further into the summer where it just doesn't really matter. So just always remember whatever you set your enrollment password to be. So then this little window pops up. For your students to enroll, they're going to need this class ID and the password. So you might just want to make sure that you've written it down or put it on the board or emailed it to them. And it's all information you can find out later if you forgot to write it down. It's definitely never lost. And you'll notice that the class ID that is right here, it's also now listed in your list right over here next to the name. So once we've set that up, we'll hop into the class and we're going to set up an assignment. So I'm going to add the first assignment is going to be obviously for the seniors. It's going to be their senior paper, but for somebody else, it could just be any assignment that you want them to submit through Turnitin. We're going to ignore the point value. The start date is the earliest students can submit to it, and the due date is obviously, the due date, the final date. And then the post date is when, if you were using the grade mark system, when the grades would show. But it's not anything that normally you guys are going to have to worry about. If you click on the more options, you can add some special instructions if there's certain things you want the kids to know about it. If you want to allow submissions after the due date, the nice thing is that even if you say yes, students can submit, but it will mark on your screen that that submission was past the due date. You want to make sure originality reports are marked yes. Generate originality reports for student submissions. I always leave this as immediately and that the students can overwrite the reports until the due date. That means the students can submit it, see what they got, rework their paper, and keep submitting it until they get a final copy that they like. But as you can see, you can also change that, but by default, I like the middle option. I always tell it to exclude bibliographic materials and quoted materials just because we already know that's not the student's work. And exclude small matches. So if they're using a phrase or a couple words that there's really no other way to say it, it's not going to count against them. And of course, you want to allow the students to see the originality report. Submit papers, standard paper repository, and all of those checks. Most of this should be just like this from default, so it's pretty easy for you guys. I don't think many of you use the grade mark system, so you don't even have to worry about it. If you would like to try using the grammar checker, you can do that as well, and you can even change this to be advanced if we want them writing on a higher level than high school. Obviously, the U.S. English Dictionary, and those are the things that it will look for. And then we can click Submit. So now you'll notice that their paper is right here. Now, you may want to come over here to More Actions, and if you can go in and you can submit a paper yourself if for some reason a student can't, or change the settings on it. One of the things that we have noticed is that if you want to be able to have a rough draft and a final draft go in to Turnitin separately, you don't want to make two different assignments for this because obviously when they submit the second one, it will have already submitted the first one in and will say that there's a very large similarity and give them a very skewed result. But Turnitin has a solution for that. So if you want to be able to do multiple versions of a paper, you can come in here to Add Assignment again. And instead of, we're going to select the assignment type, and you can do this revision assignment. You're more than happy to play with the peer mark one or the reflection assignment, you know, if that's something you want to do, but the revision assignment is probably the most handy one out of these. What it does is it disregards the first version of something. So it'll say which assignment, since we only have one, it's easy, it's a senior paper, and then it just lets you kind of redo all the same settings. So now you notice that you have senior paper and senior paper revision 1. So this would probably end up being, you know, your final one. This would be the first submission, and then that would be the after they had revised it and their final one. So that's honestly pretty much it to setting it up. You don't even have to do the second revision if you don't want to, you know, but I just wanted to show that to you guys. So that's it. If you have any questions, let me know.